So Fortune.com conducted a study in 2018 that showed that 59% of households in the United States are now dual income households, effectively moving away from the notion of men as sole providers. Here today is Jane Mazimba back with another episode of Money and Me. And in studio today, I have somebody very exciting. He is fast becoming my friend. He's also the lead pastor of Kingdom City, Zambia. He is a husband and a father, but above everything else, he is a leader who believes in transforming the way organizations lead people. Pastor Sean, welcome to Money and Me.
Thank you so much, Jane. So good to be here.
I am excited to have you. A little bit nervous.
No, I should be nervous. Like but I'm excited to be here. Good to be here. Yeah.
But then I think because the topic is also a little bit controversial, so I thought you'd be the perfect person to talk to us about
men and money. Oh wow.
How does that make you feel? Like just the statistic that I said, dual income household, so the man is no longer considered the sole provider. It's a United States statistic, yeah. But obviously I think it applies to even, Africa.
I think it shows that women are being allowed now to be expressive, to be part of the economy and express themselves. The Word of God speaks about them as a pastor. The Word of God speaks about women being involved, expressing themselves. Proverbs 31, everyone uses that part of scripture. But at the same time, I do get a bit worried in that if the gender roles in the home and what they bring in the home aren't solidified, then the money question can actually begin to confuse things. So as much as, I've said it to my wife as well, and sisters. I grew up in a home with three sisters, and three strong sisters. So I believe in that. I believe in them expressing themselves and getting value back or earning back from what they do, as long as the gender roles don't get mixed up, and as long as we still understand what we bring uniquely to the home, and the money doesn't shift that. So I think on one hand it's good, but on another hand I think we have to steer what actually happens from there.
But then how do you keep a gender role? Because traditionally, the man is supposed to be the provider. So if I, as a woman, am then becoming a provider, how do we expect not to shift the gender roles in the home?
That's a good question. I'll tell you from personal experience. My wife, at some point in time, was earning a lot more than I did. But what I realized was, and the sort of vision that I had for myself, I wanted to make sure that I earned enough money so that whatever she did was an option, not a requirement. Because of the fact that what she needs is security. What she needs is the ability to know that she is not required to bring something into the home, but I'm supporting what she's doing outside the home. So the provider of the home, I don't think that changes. What I feel that whatever a wife brings to the home is extra, and obviously, as we will talk more about in terms of investment and what you're going to give and what you can do with your money in terms of a dual income home. But we can't get that mixed up. I'm still the provider of the home, and at that point in time, it was my sort of vision and mission to make sure that I brought enough money into the home at that point in time to make sure that what she was doing was just an option, that she wanted to do it because she wants to do it, not because we needed to do it. So and that's the thing, when we don't understand the makeup of men and women and what God has put inside each one of us uniquely, we then don't understand money issues and how that can begin to warp things. You know what I mean? So I really, especially talking to people, trying to lead people and guide people, is to make them understand that money is key. Money is key in the fact that we need to guide our lives and who we are according to things like that. So no, I don't think women should bring, like a woman can bring what she earns into the home, but I don't think she should ever see herself as the provider. I think the husband is the provider. What she brings is additional, but the man's role is to provide for the home.
Okay. Yeah. And when we talk about provision, we're talking about provision here in the money sense.
Yeah. I love that.
Provision of vision,
good.
Of support, and all those. Okay, cool. Maybe I bring it back to sort of like our mindsets and where all this begins.
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old boy who I am raising into a man,
Yeah.
I feel like there's too much pressure on young
Absolutely.
men and thinking to like make money. There's this money pressure on them. And we were talking earlier about how I sent out a question on my social media asking what are the biggest money lessons
Yeah.
that men have learned, specifically men. And at least 2 or 3 talked about how their self-worth is tied in so intricately with money.
Yeah.
So could you talk to me about that a little bit?
Totally. It's universal, it's global. Specifically, I think it's stronger here, obviously in Africa, because your self-worth or what you own or what you make is going to be seen in terms of when you're choosing a wife, when you're paying for her and stuff. And society sees a lot of value in that. A man's got value in that, which makes it. And here's the sad thing about that: the man or men or boys don't actually. I was being mentored by this amazing man of God, and I was surprised when he actually said to me that he told his sons that before you're 30 years old, you actually don't know anything. So. He was like, he gives them, I mean, that's biblical. Like Joseph in the Bible was 30 when he began his role in terms of second in charge of Egypt. David was 30 when he ascended to the throne of Israel. Jesus Christ himself was 30. So all of these biblical characters who took time, Jesus himself took time to mature into the man he was supposed to be. If he was forced to do that because he is making money, then we abort or we don't allow boys to mature into men because there's pressure on them to make money before they are men. You know what I mean? So that is so important for us to realize that the pressure we put on boys to make money and become men too early. A person could be a young guy making money at 23 years old, but he's not mature. You're not mature. Like there's so much life you have to live. There's so much you have to experience. So I do think we need to slow it down, allow boys to make mistakes, allow boys who are growing into men to try different things, try different ideas, try different businesses, but not put the pressure on them to be providers. No, I think it's a bad thing. I think we've stunted the growth of young men, especially in Africa. And it is telling in the end because we're now finding that our homes and families, businesses, are being run by young men who are not mature. You know what I mean? So but that comes from the pressure that was put on them when they were much younger. So money is key, and how we see money is key to whether or not the boys in our society are going to mature into real men, and whether or not they will be allowed to do that without the pressure of people in society around them. So it's totally key. It's so important that we give people time to do that, and whether you make money or lose money in that time period between your, let's say 30 is a cutoff time, that doesn't mean anything. Whether you have money or don't have money, you're still discovering your stuff. You're just discovering who you are. You're still discovering your leadership style as a man, as a boy. So society needs to not put pressure on guys, man, to do that. Especially women. Women need to not put pressure on guys to be what they're not supposed to be. And I think let's just be honest, it does come from that. I mean, we don't have to feel the pressure, but we do. We feel the pressure of it because of how we grew up. So it's an unfortunate thing. It's an issue, and it has to be dealt with, spoken about. The society is fast tracking the maturity of the boy to its own detriment, and you'll see that in broken homes, in fathers who weren't supposed to be fathers that early. So I think it's a massive contributing factor that guys are feeling the pressure to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, wow, that was a good start, I think. Stay tuned. After the break, I'm going to ask Pastor Sean on the idea of starting early, because he said we shouldn't put pressure, but also should men be giving their girlfriends money?
Oh, wow.
Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Money and Me. In studio today, we are talking about men and money, and we have Pastor Sean here with us. Pastor Sean, let's dive in.
Come on.
Should men, boyfriends, give their girlfriends money?
Capital letters N-O. No, with exclamation parts, with
Why
many
not?
dots. Here's the thing. The question that I ask, why are you in the relationship? For both parties. One of the biggest things that I've seen, especially in pastoral life, is we try and replicate marriage in relationship. A relationship is not marriage. There is, because even, you must understand, and here's what I say. So when we're talking about provision as well, so let's talk about the word provision. In a marriage, in a family unit, what we try and teach people is there's something that the woman brings, something that a man brings. So a relationship is not built on money, because if it's built on money, go and marry, like go find a bank CEO, like, you know what I mean, like it's the different things that different genders are bringing to a relationship are varied. So when we talk about provision, what a man brings vision, a woman brings nurturing. There's different things we bring inside there. Relationships are built on vision. They're built on what we're trying to mutually achieve. They're not built on money. And money can stunt vision. It really can stunt vision. When you ask any business person or anyone who's got a organization, we establish, people actually say that in leadership language, leadership talk, it's mission first. Then you have management, then money follows management follows mission. The first thing we establish is mission. That's the first thing we establish. So when we get into a relationship, we are talking about what we want to achieve. We're figuring out what our mutual sort of views are and vision where we're going in life. I am not responsible for my girlfriend's well-being. I'm not. I'm figuring out who she is, and she's figuring out who I am. When money is involved, you're not talking about contractual, even if it's not written down, you are getting into agreements with the person that you haven't figured out. So I say that you're still, when you're in a relationship, you're individuals, you're still working out your sort of emotion. We spoke about it just now, even before we went on the air. The money is 80% emotional, 20% skill. So a person still has to work out emotionally in themselves their relationship with money. You stunt that, like I said, you don't want to stunt someone's growth. You don't want to stunt a lady's growth or a woman's growth in how she takes it, because I want to see that. I want to see how she handles her own money. I want to see her relationship with her own money. If my girlfriend is consistently getting into money issues, I'm seeing not a person who doesn't know how to handle money skillfully, but a person who's going to manipulate me potentially emotionally in our relationship. And that's gonna tell. So I'm watching what she's doing with her own money. I'm watching what a relationship is with that. I'm checking out in terms of emotionally where she is with that. That to me, when we're in a relationship, we're looking at each other. We haven't decided whether we're gonna be together. I'm looking at what you're doing with money, and a woman should do the same thing with her man. Look at how he's handling it, because how he's handling it there is going to be the same thing. I'll give you a quick example of even in marriage now. With my wife and I have recently. Well, we've always had an understanding that we needed to get deeper in financial knowledge.
Yeah.
But we've recently started really getting into that and getting into like financial courses and stuff. And the thing that we've talked about now in terms of it's mainly emotional, and then secondary is skill. I'm realizing how and in the course we're learning right now, they ask you whether you're the nerd or the free spirit. The nerd being the person who writes the spreadsheets, who's got everything in order.
Free spirit.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a nerd and a free spirit.
Yeah.
But now we could have known that far before we got married, but now we're learning it in marriage. And now we're realizing the person who's got a propensity to sort of ask for different things, who throws off the budget, whatever. When you are now courting, we call it courting, you are trying to figure out that person. But if it's a codependent relationship, you're never going to find out the other person's relationship with money, because you're thinking your role is to give them money. Your role is not to give them money. Your role, you are watching what they do with money. You're watching how they handle money. by giving them money, you're not allowing yourself the time to see what they're going to do. Because that person, when you're married, is going to have influence over you that will tank you even if you are strong with it. That's the problem. You're still individuals.
I want to be
learning.
like, preach!
Man, and it's so important, Jane.
Yeah.
When you're courting, you're individuals who are learning, especially someone's relationship with money.
Yeah.
Because that person's relationship with money is going to affect you in marriage.
Yeah.
But if you hide it because you're giving them money, you'll never know. And then now your dreams go down, your vision goes down, things are going down because you didn't actually allow yourself to see how they relate with money. And people don't understand that you could be, I've been with different couples. Someone is really good with money, but the other person is not. Your discipline will not override their desire and their lack of discipline. The person with the lack of discipline in the marriage or in the relationship will tank the person with discipline.
Yeah.
And that's so key. You know what I mean? So that's why I say that don't get yourself in that trap of give you person. Like obviously if you're dating, it's a gesture and you're going out and like or something like I mean like you go to a restaurant and stuff. I mean like the courteous, and this is the thing, it's not a boyfriend girlfriend thing. As a man, my mom taught me to be a gentleman. So as a gentleman, I'll open the door. As a gentleman, I will offer to pay the bill. Yeah. I'm not doing it because I'm the boyfriend. I'm doing it because I'm the gentleman.
Yes. And
that's the difference. I can be a gentleman, but I'm not your sponsor. Two totally different things. Because I'm watching you to see, I've got dreams and things that God put on my heart to do, and I'm watching to see how you treat money. But if I'm your sponsor, I can't divorce myself, and I can't distance myself from watching what you do with it. Because I'm really seeing that. Because when we get married, I'm now in a covenant, I'm now in a contract with you. I can't divorce you because now you're bad with money. But your habits are going to tank our vision.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see what we were doing before. And that's the key thing. We are watchful in relationship. That's why it's called courting. You're watching.
Yeah.
You're seeing. I'm not engulfed in it. I'm not so attracted by your beauty that I'm not seeing what you're going to contribute towards the marriage. Then I see who you are. We go for marriage counseling. We understand where we come together. Then when we're married, So that's my stance. Never allow the sponsorship mentality to make you not see what your own person is doing with money. Are they hardworking? Every single person, Jane, I say this. My wife was top executive in a marketing firm. We made a decision for her to be a housewife, but she's still hardworking. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Every person has to be hardworking. We all have to work hard. You see, and we, even in the home, we apportion a part of money, and she still has to budget that money. It's not like I'm a housewife, I do whatever I want to do. No, please don't. People watching Housewives of Atlanta, getting themselves mixed up and getting your ideas. Everyone has to be hardworking, has to manage money correctly, and I'm seeing that in the relationship, in the courtship. But you will blind yourself to it if you're the sponsor.
Wow.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes sense, but like ladies, this man doesn't have to pay your rental.
No way. No way.
Okay, this is so deep. I feel like we should just, Anyway, we're going to break. We'll come back and we'll still have more on Money and Me on live TV with Pastor Sean.
Key Africans Unlocked Season 1.
back to another very, very exciting episode of Money and Me. Today we are talking men and money. Pastor Sean is here with us to school us, fam. When I say he's telling truths. Okay, but I want to move away a little bit from the couple side. I want to talk about investments because we have a short time span now. So how early you had mentioned earlier that before 30, he's not ready to provide, but how early should we be teaching our sons about money and about investing and those things?
Absolutely, as early as possible. And that's the thing. We need to understand that money is not separated from our culture and society and tradition. We have to teach our children first. Now, and I say this to many people: you've got to learn to work before you earn. In many ways, we've got a culture now. I've been fortunate enough to be on quite a few pitch sessions, for example, innovation hubs, entrepreneurial hubs, and businesses. And you find that one of the biggest things that I've seen in these different pitch sessions is you find people have got ideas and they build their ideas up and come to a pitch session, but they haven't done enough research, they haven't done enough groundwork, because they haven't realized our cultures don't teach us to work before we earn, to begin to work, get into a situation where you work and then you earn, work and then you earn. So that's the first thing is make sure people realize that the culture of work needs to be strong. Then you earn, you learn to negotiate. When you've put a hard day's work in, whether if you're 8 years old, 10 years old, right now, even in our own home, our 6-year-old boy right now, he works. He wakes up in the morning, he fixes his room. That's work. I'm teaching him that you work.
Yeah.
You fix things, you clean things. Work is not a swear word. Work is a good thing.
Yeah.
Then you earn. So I teach him to work and then you earn, because the worker is worthy of his due.
Yeah.
And then from there, we then get into different phases of life. So once someone is used to working, once someone understands that I can work without a degree, I call it an epidemic. I mean, obviously we're in the middle of things right now, but epidemic is people who only work when they've got a certificate, or people who only, you know me. So one of the high statistics that I found when we were in Botswana for some time is there were a lot of they call them, there's a group of them, they actually call them graduates who weren't working. And it's like, so you're waiting for someone to acknowledge your certificate to actually begin to work. And I say to people around, talking to people around, there are a lack of jobs in society, but is there lots of work to do? There's a lot of work to do.
Yes, there is.
You know what I mean? And we have to learn how to turn work into earning. But in general, when you're looking at jobs, so in the beginning, when you're young, get out of university. When you're very, very young, you've got to understand that is your biggest opportunity. So you teach a young man to work, the value of money, the value of saving, the value of putting something away. Then now, university age, get out of university, you get your first job. In those first few years, before you get married, that is the greatest time of potential where you can now begin to save. When you're young, you know very well that we are more we take more risk when we're much younger.
Yeah.
You know, so we can get into mutual funds and different things like that, but you want someone who's at that age, first job, to begin to understand that they must be at least putting away 70% of their income into saving and looking at retirement fund.
Yeah.
Like
Oh wow.
and that's the thing.
Yeah.
You gotta think when you're younger, think from the end. Think at the end in mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So when I'm younger, when I can do more of my money, when I've got less expenses, is when I must now begin the habit of saving.
Yeah.
Not later on. True. Because we move in stages in life. So I'm young before I get married. I start earning my first paycheck. 70% of the money should be saved. That should be the habit. You know, obviously in our society, we think I'm young, I must spend.
Yeah.
But you're building bad habits. The key is, and here's what people don't understand, I've learned this. Budgeting gives you permission to spend. People need to understand that. It gives you permission to spend. So when you create a budget, it's telling you have permission to spend this much on this thing. So when I learn how to budget, I learn how to save when I'm much younger. Obviously, when you get married, that begins to change.
Yeah.
Your saving percentages change, and your revenue changes there. And what you can do changes. But then from there, you're moving now into thinking about maybe buying a house or different things like that. Because so you're moving in stages in life. I don't know if that makes sense.
Hold that thought. Yes, it works. Because we have a few minutes left, you've already started touching on it, but I want you to share, you're relatively new to Zambia, living and working in Zambia, but what are some of the practical places that young men can start investing their money prior to being married, or even while they're married? But like, what are the areas that we should be looking at to invest?
So when I look at investment, Jane, just very quickly, I look at investment in knowledge in terms of financial knowledge. That's what I think the first thing. And moving, it depends where you actually are. So the first thing that I would say that anyone needs to do first before you invest any money is actually save money. That's the first thing. Save money. That's the very, very first thing. Make sure you've got an emergency fund. You're building up an emergency fund that will actually last. Well, you want to have enough money that can actually pay expenses and different things for a month, for example. That's the first thing. So, can you build up an emergency fund that can actually pay your expenses for a month? That's the first thing. The second thing is looking at your debt. So for me, this is investment. I'm not talking about a company now. I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about this is investment. The second thing is debt. What can we do with our debt? And people have spoken about how to pay for debt, but people call it debt snowball. Looking at your smallest debts to your biggest debts, and make sure that becomes
roll over.
Exactly.
Settle one, then go.
So pay off your debts. The third thing you then do is then build up your emergency fund from 1 month to about 3 to 6 months. Then you can start thinking about investment. Why? Because your investment must be first in your peace of mind. That's the first thing. You cannot invest in anything when you're at the risk of, if you lose your job, what are you going to do? So I want people to invest in their peace of mind first before they start throwing the money around in different areas, because you don't have the luxury in throwing your money around into play, because the knowledge you need to gain in terms of mutual funds in different places and stocks and bonds, the learning curve there, the amount of money you're going to lose there because you need to learn, you can't waste that. So build up your peace of mind, and then once you've got that, then you can begin to play at higher levels. I always say to people, do not invest in areas you don't understand. So make sure you build up your peace of mind, get a good foundation, make sure you know that if you get fired by someone, you're good for 6 months. Someone fires you, lose your job, you're good for 6 months. And then from there, you build up your knowledge. You invest in places, get some skin in the game, look at companies, real estate, different things like that. But the first thing, get a foundation of peace of mind, first of all. Pay off your debts, get an emergency fund going, make sure you've got 6 months worth of money you can pay expenses, and then begin to play with the big boys.
True.
And you can
do that simultaneously, right? You can invest in your knowledge and be learning while you're building up this fund.
I would say do it step by step. The thing we've had in our society is we know. Here's the thing we know. We know. Pay off your debts, emergency fund, build up emergency fund. But if you do scattergun, you won't start. You won't begin anything. So I'll say, first thing you must do, like, have some money in the bank that you know you've saved up enough money for a month. Then your debts. Then you start building up emergency fund. Then you can start investing. I believe in taking step by step, one foot in front of the other, because when knowledge is all over the place, you can't accumulate. You can't accumulate. So I do believe in taking steps. And building up from there.
All right, this has been an amazing session. Any last words to our young men, older men, money?
Absolutely. Men, I don't know what Cameron look at. Don't get into a trap of trying to be who you're not supposed to be. Money is emotional. Don't let other people influence those emotions. Don't try to chase after anyone else. Money is a long game. You want to think to yourself, where are you going to be when you're 65 years old? When you're much younger right now, spend time building up yourself. Don't allow anyone else to put you under pressure. Money is a long-term game. Don't spend money now. Don't be bawling out in the streets. Take time to build it up, so when you're 65 years old, you are actually at peace and you are good. Basically.
Amazing. Always great to talk to Pastor Sean. This has been Men and Money. Catch another episode. I will make sure I find a topic to bring Pastor Sean back. I already know. It's couples and money.
That's going to be good. That'll be good.
Stay tuned for next week. This has been Jane on Money and Me on Live TV.